Hi everyone. I'm not exactly sure how to start this week's update. I'm going to start off by saying I'm going to try not to make it such a long one, but it's been a lot going on. Not the greatest week, to be fair. So how do I start? Well, cut out some of the story because it doesn't need all of that. But my started off well actually. The very beginning of the week was pretty good. On Monday, an old friend turned up that I'd kind of not lost complete touch with, but I definitely hadn't seen in person for 10 years, and so it was really nice to see him again. It was good to catch up, so that was cool. And then let me just get the days right. I'm absolutely goosed at the moment, but there's a very good reason for that. I think it's Friday today, so Wednesday. So I get a call on Wednesday. No, prior to that, the digger went down, and I'm trying to get the hydraulic people in and the engineers to check it out, and it's a little bit difficult to coordinate all that and make that happen. But what eventually happens is I get a confirmation that I can have them in for Thursday morning. And I was also trying to move something from outside of my house as well, and I got confirmation that I could move that on Thursday morning too. So that was actually happening at 9 o'clock. Really going to try not to ramble here, guys, but I'm struggling a little bit. So this is all. I had got the setups for Thursday morning, and I'm feeling pretty pleased about that. And okay, let's get squared up Thursday morning. This would be yesterday morning. On Wednesday afternoon, I got a call from my mother-in-law, who had taken my two daughters on holiday, and my eldest daughter had thrown up and was complaining of feeling really ill. So at that situation, the kind of, any of your parents who'll know this, was kind of like, well, sounds like a lot of different symptoms, and as you're aware, the best thing to do is to just pop them into the doctors and find out what the doctor says. So that phone call happened, left it for an hour or so. My wife had got home from work, I was home from work by this point as well, and the next thing we get is a phone call saying, right, she's been rushed into hospital with suspected appendicitis, and they're looking to do an appendectomy the next day. So that's kind of like, that's not something that you want to hear, obviously, but you know, it happens. So they were over in Scarborough, which with A1 closures and things like that, it's a long trek around, and it's actually about a 3-hour journey. So at 8 o'clock on Wednesday night, myself and my wife set off in our own cars, in separate cars, because my wife knew she would have to stay over, and I kind of had to come back because it took me a long time to set up these things for Thursday morning. So drove over to Scarborough, and things transpired there that luckily she doesn't have to have an appendectomy, and it's just it's an internal infection. I mean, it's still pretty crappy for her because they had to stick a cannula in her and get her sorted out with intravenous antibiotics, which are a bit hardcore and make you feel crappy anyway. And then obviously my wife has got to stay over because it's a child in hospital, and I had to come back. So I I didn't actually, after dropping my my mother-in-law back at the place where she was staying, to get home, if any of you know Sutton Bank, and it's a pig and everything, it was really foggy on there on the way up. And to get home, I was like, well, it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm in Scarborough, and sod this, I'm gonna drive to Teesside and back across. So that was really foggy as well, unfortunately, coming up towards Whitby and up towards heading for like Middlesbrough area, and that was slow going. And at 5 o'clock in the morning on Thursday morning, I got pulled over by the police, and it's the whole kind of, do you know why we're pulling you over? And well, I hope you're pulling me over because you've ran my plates and it says that it's registered to someone in Penrith, and you just try to check who I am. So next thing, he's having a look around the car, and bear in mind that I finished work, got home, I'd had a cuppa and got, after I'd got this phone call, and the next thing we're getting in cars and we're driving to Scarborough. And bear in mind I'm knackered, and I'd been up since 8 the previous morning. This is 5. I'm like 3 hours off being 24 hours in. And he starts looking around the car, and there's a bush knife down there. There's a chainsaw in the back. There's like 20 litres of fuel in a jerry can. And it looks like I've got the kit to be a mass murderer and dismember bodies and burn the evidence. So at 5:30, I'm thinking, I obviously explained what was going on, not that they had to believe me right away, but I'm like, does this mean that I have to go down the station now and corroborate this story? And I've got my ID on me and everything, and I'm like, look, this is what I do for a living, yada yada. I had to get them onto Facebook, I had to get them onto the YouTube to show them that, look, this is what I do. And because it was an emergency, I hadn't emptied out the car, and sorry about that, but I'm not a mass murderer. So but it's like 5 o'clock, and I'm still at bloody Thornaby, and I've got to get back for 9 because the guy's coming to load my old truck onto a loader to drive it out to the forest. Now the truck is something that I used to run as my car a couple of years ago, but I got T-boned by this poor woman in the, I say poor woman, she ran red light and T-boned me, but she killed her car completely. And the truck was pretty much alright, except it failed its MOT, and they had said, look, it's got some issues, I'm going to have to sort it out. So I parked it up and spent 400 quid on this little Honda Civic Estate. But I didn't sell the truck knowing that it's going to be handy. And I'd eventually got that sorted for 9 o'clock, and I can feel myself rambling, and I'm so sorry guys, but I'm really tired. So at 6 o'clock I'm driving towards, I'm driving through Darlington, if any of you know the area where I'm at, heading back towards A66 and thinking, right, I can get home and let's just go, at least have a chance for a couple of cups of coffee before the truck guy comes. Anyway, yesterday morning, 9 o'clock, that happens, and then straight after I got the digger engineer in, and the digger engineer landed about 11 o'clock. So I'm by that point like 28 hours in without any kit. And I'll tell you the rest in a sec. Sorry folks, I stopped that last bit of filming because I was starting to get notifications on my phone, and I was distracted because I wanted to read them. I'll share with you what they were. My wife has texted me to tell me that everything's okay, and my daughter's had a scan, and they're saying now that she can come home. So Sam's just trying to sort out the I think they get they get like a release. They're told that they can be released. Say released. There's a proper word for it, and I can't remember. Anyway, and then what has to happen is some paperwork has to come through. So just waiting for that paperwork to discharge notes have to come through, and so they can come home. So do you know what? Right now, that's the best news I could have wished to have heard. Where was I up to with telling you? Okay, so I had to get back on Thursday yesterday. I had to get back yesterday because I'd organised a couple of people to come, and so the digger man came, and he went over the hydraulic system because he was sure it was a hydraulic fail on it, and essentially pressure tested the pump, and the pump just isn't putting any pressure out, which means that the pump's goosed. So last night and a little bit of this morning, I've been looking for PDFs on the internet for the digger, and the digger it's old, and it was sold in this country as a Nissan, but it's actually manufactured by Hannix, and he's running a Mitsubishi engine. So it's right. Carry on. I've got the PDFs for the Mitsubishi engine. Not that there's anything to it. It's just a little small diesel engine. It's very basic, but I can't for the life of me find a PDF or a parts list for the actual digger itself. So what's happening is the hydraulic pump needs to be changed. Simple as that. Now the engineer did give me a bit of light at the end of the tunnel by telling me that if I could find a pump, whether it be new replacement or one that's been reconditioned, it's not a horrid job to fit it. So if I can get one bought, I don't have to pay a second time for somebody to come out and fit it, because he's shown me how it unbolts and bolts back on, and it just goes on to the engine. On another video I made a real rookie error and I was pointing into the not quite the engine bay, but where that main hydraulics are of the digger. And if any of you follow that, I'm tripping over my words and everything, I'm battered. If any of you follow the vlogs, you might have seen where I was pointing the camera down into the digger and pointing at a thing that I thought was a hydraulic pump. That's not the hydraulic pump at all. It's the actuator for the 360 part of the digger. Obviously now, when I'm shown, obviously the hydraulic pump has to go straight onto the engine, because it's the actual engine that they use the engine to rotate the shaft, the spline to rotate the pump. So the hydraulic pump's basically bolted onto the side of the engine, and I just didn't know, I hadn't thought, or I just didn't know, basically. Anyway, so struggling to find the correct part. So I think the best thing to do is to do a strip and actually pull the pump out and get it in my hands and start looking for printed or embossed in part numbers or serial numbers, because I'm thinking that that's possibly the only way that I can do it. There might be another way, but I'm a bit frazzled. Anyway, so I've now the day's started with some better news. My daughter is clear. She's okay. To the point where the hospital is saying, you know what, she can go home. She's got the cannula out, and they're just going to let her home. So hopefully today is the start of the good news. Other good things that are going on is welcome to my old truck. Now my wife sometimes, and not all of them, but sometimes watches the vlogs that I do, and kind of fingers crossed that she won't watch this one. What happened was I've had this sitting outside my house for about 2 years now, and on the basis of the excuse of, I started the planning for this a long time ago, and I was like, it'd be handy to have in the forest. Doesn't make any sense to get rid of it, because it's worth rock all, and it'll be a handy thing to have.
the truth of it is, when I was driving this around, this was my daily driver. Obviously it's a truck, so you just chuck your bike in the back, and the weight of a downhill bike, you didn't even need to strap it down or anything, didn't need to take wheels off, just straight in the back and off and you go. And when you get finished your ride, chuck it back in the back of the truck again and away home. And I love this truck. I still do like it a lot, but I did really used to love it as my daily driver, and I couldn't bear to part with it. But the other side of it is up here, it is really handy. Number one, obviously it's got the truck back, so chucking logs in and stuff and moving things around, it just is a lot nicer, and you can do fit more in and move more in any one go. And then secondly, I don't know if any of you have owned these before, but they're really heavy, and if you knock a little bit of air out of the tyres and just put it in four-wheel drive and crawl with it, they're actually really good for compacting down surfaces. So that's another side of it that'll be useful as well. That's my phone. Oh, that's my phone going again. Anyway, I'm losing my train of thought. Right, sorry about that. I've cracked an energy drink open. Just answered a message on Facebook, and I'm starting to wake up a little bit now. I'm 39, and missing a night's sleep is a horrible thing. It makes you feel really strung out and horrible. And it used to be regular, on the regular back in the day. When I was doing the whole rock and roll thing, missing 2 nights sleep in a week wasn't that unusual. Never felt like this. Rubbish. I was just thinking as well. I think I'd spoken earlier about getting pulled over by the police, and the last time that I was in this and I got pulled by the police, it was the time that I actually got hospitalised after this, but the time that I'd crashed at A, and I was a bit concerned that I'd done something to my neck, and I'm like, right, we've just got to drive home and find out what's going on. And so loaded up the bike and just made a beeline home, and I got pulled over on the way home, and the police officer says to us, how fast do you think you were going? And at this point I'm in a bit of pain, and I'm a little bit worried about what I might have done to myself, and I ended up saying to him, look, I think I was doing about 60, might have been doing 65. It's a bit tricky to tell. I'll just show you why. This truck is the whole dash is in kilometres, so I don't hope this focuses in. So I rednecked some stickers over roughly where those were. The guy, it's kind of funny now, but the policeman obviously didn't find it that amusing at the time. But I was explaining to him, look, I've just had a crash, and I think I've done something to my neck, and I'm just concentrating on getting home. And they ended up spine boarding me and doing a CAT scan and what have you after that. That was scary. I wouldn't advise that to happen to anyone. Losing train of thought again. So anyway, do you know what? You should really just start to concentrate on some good news. Stuff like this happens, right? And it does, and it's weird, and it messes up your week, and things go a bit strange. But it's kind of like the greater thing asking you the question of, well, how much do you want this? Well, more than anyone will possibly know. So I'm not letting any of this put the dampeners on things at all, and I think it's a case of, let's just get this bloody pump off, find out what the score with is. It's apparently stopped making. They were made between 87 and 92, but there's a forum I was reading last night says that, well, no, you can probably still get a pump for it, at least a reconditioned one. So let's get this pump off, find out what's going on, and start to make some positive moves on that, and get that replaced. This is up here now, so this makes life a lot easier, and I'm not having to, like when I'm moving logs and stuff, I can only move like a couple at a time. Now I can chuck a load in and get them all moved, so that's a positive. That makes life easier. Just had the news that my daughter's coming out of hospital. That's a positive. What else is going on? It's Val de Sol at the weekend, so after I'm going to put some grafting on Saturday, and then that's a lovely thing for a Saturday evening, because let's face it, Saturday TV's rubbish. So that's going to be something to look forward to as well. Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's hard. When I first started this, I was under no illusion that it was going to be difficult. And you know, there's you know, there would have been cases where in the past where I would say, oh, my daughter's been hospitalised, I need to go and see her. And you know, I had 2 assistant managers in that job, and I could just ring them and everything would keep going. life would go on. Do a couple of updates by phone, but you know, I could trusted those guys 100%, and stuff will keep going. And now, you know, something happens, and who do I ring to say, oh, can you crack on with this, because I've got to go, I've got to drive to bloody Scarborough. So, you know, things like this happen, and you've got to keep in mind that actually it's pretty standard. It's just normal life happening around you. If you buy a digger for dirt cheap, because granted that's what you can afford at the time, then you know it's gonna break down. It's coming towards the end of its life, and things are gonna go wrong, and that's just the way things are. You got to deal with them as they come up. So I'm going to stop rambling on now, finish my pop, and head down and go and take this pump off. And at this point right now, because hopefully by the time you're watching this, hopefully I'll actually have the numbers off the pump. It's got to have something printed on it. Yeah. Might not, but you're probably watching this thinking, yeah, it probably will be, Ben. There'll be some serial number or something on it, and I'm just hoping that I can match that up via the internet and find another one. And if not, then I better teach myself how to recondition hydraulic pumps pretty fast. That's looking towards the doom and gloom side of things. That's not true. That's not what's going to happen. I'm going to get the numbers off and everything will be tickety-boo. So finish my pop, go and take that off, and crack on. Hopefully, really, truly, honestly, hopefully I get to see you a lot soon, because sometimes, you know, when after weeks like this, it feels like an awfully lonely position to be in. It'd be nice to have a chat to someone, and it'd be nice to have that kind of just somebody. You tell yourself it, but it's nice to have another physical person going, ah man, don't worry about it. These things happen. We'll square it up. Anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing you all, and hopefully see you soon. So I know a little while ago I kind of finished the video and said see you in a bit, but just to update. I originally said that I pointed to under here, in at this, where my finger is, in there, and I originally thought that was the pump, but now realise that obviously it's not. The pump is attached to the side of the engine and to the flywheel, obviously, because that's how you power the pump. And I was really hoping to get this up and find that there was a sticker or a part number or something on there, and it probably used to, because it's the remnants of a sticker, but it doesn't have one on now, so I need to formulate a new plan. Okay, so there's some good news and some bad news with this. I don't think I've got a clean bit of handle. The good news is anyway that I kind of doubt it's the pump itself that's goosed now, because I couldn't find a serial number sticker on it. What I thought was, well, the next best thing to do is to take the pump off. So I got everything disconnected and started to try and pull the pump off its spline and couldn't, and noticed this. So well, just before I show you this, obviously to get the pump works off the engine, you put fuel in the engine, fire the engine up, the engine turns a flywheel, Now the flywheel then turns the pump, and the pump pumps your hydraulic fluid around. That pressure of that fluid is what allows you to move back and forth and raise an arm or what have you. So the pump is actually attached to the flywheel, and what I thought was I'd just pull it off the spine and be able to lift it upwards and out. I'll show you what I've found. So I don't know if you can see in here properly. What I was thinking about doing was that I've unbolted this pump and undone it here, and I was thinking that I can just ease this backwards and pull it out, but I can't because of this bit. Now the reason that this bit is attached, well, supposed to be attached to the flywheel, now the score is this is not attached to the flywheel. I don't know if I can try to hold it steady here. Can you see that? These are like rubber bushings, and that's not a split bolt, and it appears that actually the pump turns because it was glued to the flywheel. Was it glued? I don't know, but that's there. You can see where one of them sheared, and it's just because it's come free from the flywheel. Now I know that the pump works because if you turn the pump the correct way it should, anyway I did before, and you got some fluid ooze out of here, so the pump itself inside works. It's just not attached to the bloody flywheel, and there you can see that's where the sheared one is, but it appears to be just glued as if it was. There's no bolt going right through. That's not a sheared bolt, that's just a flat head. I think it's a flat head. No, it doesn't look sheared. Anyway, phone's going now. I'm gonna have to answer that. I don't really need this kind of stuff at the moment. Right, so obviously I'm a little hacked off about finding that out. Why you would use 3 rubber bushings to glue the pump, or what it appears to glue the pump to the flywheel, I don't know, because eventually surely those just going to give up the ghost. Anyway, this is kind of new grounds for me. I'm not a digger mechanic, I'm a bike mechanic, and it's going to need a bit of thinking about it, but I think the thing to do right now is to drive over and ask for some expert opinion whether this is just something, yeah, we see it all the time, because surely they must see it a lot. The bushings must just give up on there, therefore is there a way to fix it? Anyway, I'm going to have to go and get some advice on this one, guys. I'll try and keep you updated. So I've just come from paying the digger wizard. So I mean, it's hard because you know, they've got to earn a living, but then what happened was they came away with, well, you need to buy a new pump. It's your pump that's broken, and luckily I didn't. Luckily I decided to check it out for myself before going ahead and buying a new pump. But the pump's fine. It's broken free from the flywheel. But you know, it's 80 quid to have got some bum information. It's hard, isn't it? You know, it's kind of, it's not really their fault. He tried his best, but 5 minutes more investigation of lifting up the cab would have shown that right from the get-go. Anyway, so this is going to need a totally new plan, and I'm exhausted, and nobody ever makes particularly good plans when they're exhausted, so I'll do a little bit of research on it tonight, and then I think I need to sleep on it and find out what's going on from there. There just isn't an infinite pot of money to keep going at. Anyway, first problem to solve is to stop being exhausted, so let's sort that one first. I'll keep you updated, guys.